Joining us from Beijing, Einer Tangen, political and economic affairs commentator. Welcome back. Good to see you, Einer. Let me just step back perhaps just a moment here about this robots. Now, first of all, I love the robots thing, but there's a bit of a love-hate with robots, right? Because on one hand, it's good for the economy because it's more efficient. It's probably good for profits as well, but it's probably not so good when you think about the at least number of jobs that they potentially could take away, right?
No, actually, it's quite a good thing, because if you look at China's demographics, you'll note that an increasingly elderly population will be supported by fewer and fewer workers. That means they have to be very efficient. So the future of China is not like India or other countries where there's large pools of young labor. China has to make do with what it has. So this is going to be a very, very positive effect overall, especially as we go into the next 20 years.
You and I have talked about a lot about the manufacturing industry in China, and it's changed so much over the past couple of decades. I mean, I don't want to go back all the way to the beginning, but where it stands today, a few people would have probably imagined that we'd be at this spot talking about automation, talking about selling high-tech goods not more than just a few years ago. Are you happy with where China is today when it comes to manufacturing?
Well, it's less about whether I'm happy than it is about China's growth curve. I mean, the years when it was just fine to invest and have investment-led GDP growth are coming to an end. As you can see, China is preparing to avoid the middle income trap, which means it's that point where your labor dividend runs out, and the relative costs of the products that you're producing are no longer competitive, or they can be undercut by other countries with a sizable labor dividend. So China is preparing for the future, which means that it has to be efficient. It has to be able to produce at first world rates. That means being automated, saving all costs that are associated with it, including power, which is a very big issue here in China.
Hi, and I want to bring you in on this middle income trapping. This is a really, really big deal, because this is about jobs, this is about livelihoods. This really ultimately could determine the future of China if they don't get this right.
Exactly. I think that when we look at once the per capita GDP reaches above $10,000, which will be in 2 3 years, that will be the case. And then you do have a rising labor cost, and the economic growth has to come from productivity growth. And productivity growth really relies upon innovation. So can China move from just picking up the low-hanging fruit of technological development from the Western countries to become more innovative in China, not just made in China? I think that is the biggest challenge, and I'm still remaining somewhat hopeful that China can get over the middle income trap.
But they're in it now. I mean, we're already at that inflection point where they have to try to come up with new products, and they have to go up the sort of the economic curve of manufacturing. Einer, look, this is such a big deal, because I've already heard about factories not coming to China because it's cheaper, whether it's in Vietnam or any other country in Asia, to manufacture their goods. I mean, businesses have to shift right now, not in the future, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the world supply chain does not wait for any country. We've seen that in the U.S. It simply spreads out where the most cost-effective is. And you don't really have a choice in this. If you don't move, your competitors will, and that means that you'll be out of business. So this is a growing reality. China is facing up to it by saying, well, we can't go this route, so we have to go the next. And I would agree that I think China's made a very, very substantial start. It has a plan. This growing inter-regional development and expansion is going to be very, very important, because this is what's going to put China's existing capacity, the capacity that is in fact fairly efficient, these robots, to work, creating new areas where they can be more efficient with the existing populations there. You know, people have to look at the stands and all of the areas that China's expanding into in Southeast Asia and in Eastern Europe, Eastern Asia, and you start looking at that, tremendous numbers of population, underutilized. I think China's been very, very smart about how it's going about this. The AIIB, the One Road, One Belt, or as I call it, the Silk Web, is, I think, going to be a very, very effective way. The devil will be in the details. How they handle this is going to be very, very important.